So what we need to know is who is running, who's trying to put who in the witness protection from Sky and Boxer's end. So the purse bids for FABIO Wardley versus FRAZER Clarke for the British heavyweight title were due on May the 10th. You know, FRAZER's been doing a lot of talking about FABIO. And then Ben Shalom.
And there's probably frustration from FRAZER where he's like, you know what, why aren't I just jumping in that ring and doing it now? And so I think he's bitten a little bit there. I think the fight will happen. I really do. But it will happen when it's supposed to happen, and it will happen at the right time for FRAZER and what we believe.
A bit of a worry though. If you do go on June 10th and, you know, Wardley might want to move on, is there a worry that, you know...
I mean, why have you arranged your date for June the 10th when you knew the purse bids for this fight was happening? And you can hear what Ben is saying. He doesn't believe FRAZER's ready. The fight will happen when it's the right time for FRAZER. In other words, you don't believe he's ready, or FRAZER don't believe he's ready, or Angel Fernandez don't believe he's ready. This is a swerve.
So I said to FRAZER Clarke, you've got two choices. You either pull out of June 10th and fight us, and if we lose the purse bid, fair enough. But FRAZER Clarke's fighting on June 10th. So Robert Smith was like, yeah, actually it doesn't really work, does it? No, it doesn't work. So I said to FRAZER Clarke, you've got two choices. You either pull out of June 10th and fight us, and if we lose the purse bid, fair enough. Or you fight June 10th and we fight somebody else, and then we'll fight you later on. But FRAZER Clarke seems very vocal. FRAZER Clarke wants to fight. I believe he wants to fight.
Yeah, so
but
he's come out and said that he's happy not to fight on June 10th.
Not since the interview.
No, not since this interview, but as of last night.
What I want to know is, the interview we heard today was basically Ben Shalom saying, we don't want the fight.
Right. What's this new kid on the block's name? Parsons? He's young. He probably doesn't understand that when the promoter comes out and says...
but it will happen when it's supposed to happen, and it will happen at the right time for FRAZER.
It means whatever FRAZER Clarke is saying is irrelevant. Either he, his coach, Sky, Boxer, don't want that fight because they don't think he's ready. And that's the bottom line. It's not like he's a Canelo where he can dictate who he fights and when he fights. He can't do that. So this is a duck. Yeah, FRAZER wants to fight. Yeah, he wants to fight. Doesn't matter though. It's a duck. Whether FRAZER's ducking or Sky or Boxer Double X is ducking, it's a duck. Officially in the books.
That's right.
At the start of FRAZER Clarke's career, they said they were going to fast track him. I ain't seeing that. You know, and like, look, they probably told FRAZER to say, yeah, I'm willing to skip the June the 10th date and fight FABIO because it's better Ben Shalom and Boxer take the hit than the Boxer. If the Boxer has to take liability for the fight not happening, well, his credibility to sell fights is automatically hit. The promoter should be prepared to take the abuse, the booze, rather than the fans think, oh, he doesn't want smoke. The Boxer doesn't want no smoke. Bob Arum has soaked up the pressure for the likes of Chavez Jr. when they wouldn't fight Sergio Martinez. He soaked up the pressure for Manny Pacquiao when he wouldn't fight Terence Crawford. It's better the promoter take the hit, and that's what Ben Shalom is coming out doing now. He's taking the hit for his fighter. But this is what happens when you call people out. You see, the British Boxing Board of Control caught Ben Shalom and FRAZER Clarke out. They didn't expect to be mandated, but yeah, they'll mandate you because they're listening to what's going on out there. They heard FRAZER talking some shit and thought he was ready. Sky promoting FRAZER Clarke. He's got Olympic pedigree, and even though he statistically doesn't have the record that David Adilier has, it is what it is. I'm not having to go to the British Boxing Board of Control saying, well, David Adilier is 11-0 and 10 KOs and FRAZER Clarke doesn't even have half the amount of fights. I'm not having to go at them. It's up to the board to bring eyes to the British title and to British boxing. So they have to practice a fine balancing act of, okay, Adilier's got 11 fights, but who's he fought? FRAZER's an Olympic medalist, 258 fighter, higher profile fighter. What do we do? Ben Shalom is in the front line with bullets flying everywhere. And that's where he has to be. Got to do damage control for FABIO. Ben Shalom is under a lot of pressure. Not the first promoter to be under pressure, but he's under a lot of pressure. He's very young. He doesn't look prepared for this. Billy Joe Saunders threw him under the bus. Ben didn't deliver a set of promises that he promised to deliver for Billy. and Billy let go the details of the communications that he had between Ben, threw him under the bus, and even Frazer Clarke here throws a little shot at Ben. Listen.
It's obviously questioning your character, and obviously people online are thinking this guy's been in the Olympics and Fabio's experience.
Let me stop you. My character can never be questioned, ever. In terms of the interview, Ben said what he said. I spoke to Ben within about 20 minutes of seeing that straight away. And yeah, at the time, I was probably a little bit, not even disappointed. I just questioned what he was saying. So there was a little bit.
No, you were disappointed. You were disappointed that Ben put you out there like that, like you're not ready for the fight.
I said there was a little bit of a communication error between ourselves and Ben, but I let it be known to him what I want there and then, even though I think he should have known it already, because like I say, every interview, every post-fight interview, all I get is British title, FABIO Wardley.
Right. You communicated consistently, your own words, paraphrasing a little, with Ben, this is the fight you want, FABIO Wardley. And Ben has took it on himself to say, no, you're not going to fight for the British title yet. Ben was saying, oh, I'm surprised that they mandated Fabio, because Fabio hasn't had a 10-rounder yet, and that is a little unusual. But he's an Olympian. He's very visual because he's done security at Sky for ages. The AJ Association, 258 management.
But yeah, you know what, in terms of the Twitter stuff, it's a master stroke from Eddie in it. I think it's just experience against inexperience a little bit there from Ben. Ben probably went a little bit naive and said a few words, and Eddie's just pulled him on it. He's clever. You know, he found a clever way of sort of making out that he's trying to cause some disruption between me.
No. You're right. Eddie was clever. He didn't cause disruption. Ben self-destructed without Eddie doing a thing. In all truth, Frazer. That's the truth.
But like I say to anyone, remember I'm the captain of this ship. I hope saying it in a big-headed way or nothing like that, but I'm the boss.
I'm the boss. This is something boxers have to be careful of putting out there. I'm the boss. You don't do pay-per-view. You don't turn over huge numbers. You've never headlined as a pro, but you're the boss. They paid a whole load of money to sign you ahead of Eddie Hearn and Matchroom. And there's no returns yet, I would assume. And you're coming out saying you're the boss? If Sky and Ben Shalom say, we don't want you to fight Fabio Wardley for the British title yet, you're going to say you're the boss? Ben needs to get control of what he's doing over there. He needs to get control of what he's doing. Him being young is not going to be a good enough excuse. And Adam Smith is gone. No one knows what's happened to Adam. Not a word from Adam or anything. He's gone. He said Ben is going to sit back and not look for every interview like Eddie. He's going to let the fighters talk for himself. Ben is on the front line, like I said, all the time now. Even more so than that, Boxer have another guy out there now, Big Mo, who's doing interviews now, having to do damage control. They're in overdrive doing damage control and trying to keep their heads afloat in the shark-infested waters of promoting. Yeah, Big Mo. Big Mo. We've got Big Mo now. So all this ghost promoting that they were supposed to do is off the table. It's totally off the table. And he's struggling. You can see he's clearly struggling. Because, yeah, he put Frazer out there. Made Frazer look like he didn't want the fight. But Frazer's made it clear, I want the fight. It shouldn't be no issue for Ben or Frazer to talk to the board and say, let me get June the 10th out the way, and next up, I want Fabio. There shouldn't be no issue. The big issue is going to be the conflict behind the scenes between Ben and Frazer Clarke. Because Ben Shalom and other people in Sky do not want Frazer Clarke to take this fight. The performances haven't been up to par yet. He hasn't fought a 10-rounder, and he hasn't shone in none of the fights he's had so far. Fabio Wardley has shone. People can say, yeah, he's a white-collar fighter and all that. He's got some good wins. People like watching him fight, and he's British champion. And a lot of people don't think Frazer's ready. And when I say a lot of people, I'm talking about people backing him and putting money behind him. So all this, I'm a boss. When you haven't recouped for these execs in the boardroom, they ain't trying to fucking hear that you're the boss. Unless you're Anthony Joshua, and even then they'd be still pissed. But if you're Anthony Joshua and Canelo, then you can talk like that. And okay, we have to listen to what the boss has to say. Because they're not just boxers, they're star players in terms of drawing power. But bottom line is, Fraze, you was mandated to fight for the British title. You've been talking about knocking Fabio out, and you're fighting on June the 10th, and Fabio Wardley will not be in the opposing corner. Bottom line.
And he'll be active this year. British title end of the year, and hopefully May 6th on a big show in Birmingham with his GB mate Ben Whittaker as well. It's going to be a big show.
The people can't save you. You know who that is?
You mean Fabio Wardley?
I'll just say the people can't save you.
This is why the board mandated the fight. This is why they mandated it. He was talking like he was ready now. Ryan Garcia believed he was the A-side of a Teofimo Lopez, Gervonta Davis, Devin Haney, 2020. At the time, Gervonta had some kind of strap at super feather. Devin Haney had the WBC title at 135. Teofimo Lopez was unified lightweight champion. Ryan said he should be the A-side in every fight. In December of 2020, he won the WBC silver title and a mandatory shot at Devin Haney, which he didn't take. I should be the A-side in every fight. There is not one person in the lightweight division who has more of a following than me. When it comes to business, the business of boxing, you can't take anything personally. Even if you are the undisputed champion, Garcia said, whoever's the most popular fighter has to be the A-side. Well, these are Ryan's own words. Ryan was basing his popularity not of pay-per-view buys or gate receipts, but his Instagram following. 2.4, Haney had 795, Lopez had 364,000. He said Tank is up there, but he's not even close. But he said Tank is the guy to make a mega fight against. I am the person, and that's just how it is. Well, you said it yourself. The most popular guy calls the shots, and Tank is calling the shots. Obviously, he knew he was inferior in terms of drawing power, so he fell in line, in compliance.
20 seconds to comply!
He turned down a perfectly good WBC title shot against Devin Haney. Turned it down, saying Devin isn't this, Devin isn't a real champion. You fought an eliminator and turned down that fight. And now you've went for a fight all about popularity stakes, not even titles. It's not even set at the 135 limit. Actually, a decent article by MMA Junkie. Gervonta Davis versus Ryan Garcia. Rehydration clause mars otherwise wonderful matchup. Opinion. I disagree with that 100%. Totally disagree. You got this one totally wrong. I've already gave you the receipts about what Ryan thinks of himself as a fighter. He believes he's an A-side fighter. He believes he's special.
Pretty sure.
Okay, what else? What about
Is
Devin?
that the only fight
Devin
that's
has
important
all
to you?
the belts.
No, but it doesn't matter, man. You guys put so much emphasis on these bouts, man. Let them go. They don't mean shit. Bouts don't mean shit nowadays. All that matters is
Ryan.
about if I. All right. So if I beat Devin,
Yeah.
they're gonna say go fight Tank. But if I beat Tank, they can't say shit.
Well, there's still.
He said the belts don't matter. You see, when you say stuff like this, you're taking yourself out of a category or criteria of fighter. You're saying belts don't matter, which means you're a prize fighter, which means you're an A-side fighter. Now, you said you were the A-side. Now, he's come up against someone who's done pay-per-views before, not big numbers, but Ryan hasn't done any. You know, Ryan has conflated his Instagram following to a tangible boxing audience, which obviously isn't so, because he's the B-side. Once you've turned it into an A-side, B-side match, once you've did that, you forfeit all let's play fair privileges. Once you do that, you forfeit. Yeah? And the A-side gets all the privileges. That's why Tank has dragged Ryan down to 136. Ryan's last two fights have been at 138 against Targo and 140 against Fortuna. So now he's coming down to 136. And there's also the rehydration clause, which means a second weigh-in this morning, 10 a.m., and he can't weigh more than 146 at the second weigh-in. Tank obviously doesn't want Ryan coming in at some huge, colossus weight. People are saying that Tank is insecure, he's fake, he's phony, he's a fraud for demanding this. A-side fighters don't give a shit about that. A-side fighters are A-side fighters. And if you claim you're an A-side fighter and you get out A-sided when you had a title shot against Devin, who wasn't going to put Ryan through no rehydration clause. Ryan said he doesn't care about belts. You've got the exact fight you want, an A-side fight with no belts. You already had a world title shot and didn't take it. Stop moaning.
Stop the blood clot crying.
Stop the blood clot crying and get on with it. Get on with it, Ryan. Get on with it. You bootleg A-side fighters, you're going to learn. You're going to learn the hard way. We've moaned and complained at Ryan and at Tank for not fighting for legit sanctioning belts for years. And they've broke off and done their A-side fight. You know what A-side shit does? And leverage tactics like Fury versus Wilder? It means one of you is going to come out fucked up. Your shit's going to get fucked up. Now, Ryan can still win the fight. The fight is still in play. Joe Goosen believes 10 pound is a lot of weight rehydration. He believes that's quite a bit. And Joe's a nutritionist. When he was young, he used to be in shape and be into all of that. But yeah, we've complained about sanctioning bodies for years and a lot of the stunts and fuckery that they do week after week. We've complained about that. But for the most part, you petition to get a mandatory at a world champion. The fight will be held at 135 unless you comply to a demand by the diva, if you like, or A-side fighter. The fight will be held and regulated at 135. If you took your shot at Devin wasn't going to impose no rehydration clause. And the IBF more than likely wouldn't have allowed him to. You could have fought at 135, no rehydration clauses, no nothing, and fought your fight, no complaints, no moaning. But you opted out. You opted out into the world of the A-side. And now you got to deal with a rehydration clause. It is what it is. I don't want to hear all that. You know, all the rumors that Ryan's saying that put it in his contract, he can only drink water for the last 3 days before the first bell. The fight was originally contracted at 138 and they brought it down to 36. Whatever you say they've done, you've complied, and here's how I see it. If Ryan is knocked out brutally, whether you're a Ryan Garcia fan or Ryan Garcia friendly media, you could try and use the built-in excuse that the rehydration clause did him in, but the facts are the prevailing lasting image will be Tank standing over him or Ryan nursing his bruises and his bruised ego, and Tank will head on to say he's the face of the sport, whether you believe that or not. The game will continue for Tank. He'll be looking for the major money fights and all the other trappings that come with being an A-side fighter. Ryan, he'll have to rebuild and take his L. Now, if the A-side Tank gets knocked out, then yeah, Ryan can talk about, yeah, I'm the A-side over Haney, even though I ain't got no strap or whatever. No legit straps. And a lot of people would be looking at Tank. You drained that guy and you still got your ass kicked. It would be a huge L for Tank. So, everyone has something to lose. A lot to lose. It's my understanding of the sport as a consumer and a fan. Is built-in excuses on the biggest fight of your life is for a total fucking loser. And look, the rehydration clause is not going to do him any favors. It could well hinder him. It could well. But in life, you have to limit the amount of things that can go wrong that are in your hands. So, okay, the weight may come back to do Ryan in, a genuine concern. But what actually might be a bigger concern is Ryan's inactivity. The 4 fights that he's had since 2019, fought once in 2020, once in 2021, twice in 2022. 24 years of age. Fighters of his age ain't supposed to be doing that. You need the experience at that age. You see, life works in balance. When you're young, you have the ability to recover from a hard training load and a hard fight schedule. At 24, in theory, Ryan should be able to recover from 3 fights a year. I'm not saying that all 3 fights have to be against killers. Your body, see, youth will allow you, but at the same time, youth is going to punish you if you're not fighting regular. Why? Because you don't have the experience. You're supposed to develop the experience. It all works in balance. Tank, 28 years of age. Your biggest growth spurt as a boxer or as a human, look, some people blossom late in their career, but it's normally in your youth and in other fields of employment, career, vocation. You normally have your biggest spurt of growing into a sport in your youth. Tank, he's only fought 5 times since 2019, but he's older, like I'm saying, a little more experienced. He's fought in 4 or 3 weight classes. Most of his world title fights have been second tier belts, but there's not really much in it who's fought the better opposition in the last 4 years. I don't see Ryan winning this. The longer it goes, the worse it gets, I believe. Ryan fucked around, blew title shots, blew key fights, and now he's taking an A-side fight where he's on the wrong end of the A-side privilege. So the weight is a concern, the inactivity is a concern, and that's something that was in his control. He could have took the warm-up fight. Oscar said, it's not a good idea not taking this warm-up fight, and he hasn't taken it. Tank took advantage of that against Hector Luis Garcia earlier in the year. I like the fight. I can't get fully into the fight. I will watch it because it's on my subscription, and of course I'm going to watch it. I'm not a big fan of either because I don't hear them chomping at the bit to get out the winner of Lomachenko and Devin Haney, and that's a problem for me as a boxing fan. It's a real problem. Let's hope that it's a conclusive win either way. No controversies. Ryan also had to concede terms in the rematch clause, which is only in Gervonta Davis's favour if he loses. 12-rounder. Very interested in the Bekir Beck. Let's just leave his name at that. The Uzbekistan 168-pounder. He's rematching Gabe Rosado, who knocked him out very early in 2021. Big upset. David Morrell takes on a Brazilian, Falcao, who's 24-1. I don't know much about him. Floyd Schofield. He's with DAZN, as is Gabe Rosado. I think Beck is DAZN. David Morrell, he is Showtime. Gervonta Showtime. Ryan DAZN. Fyodor Sakazin with Tom Brown fighter, so that's kind of Showtime. Maybe not PBC, but that side of the street. So they've mixed it up between DAZN and Showtime fighters to fill out the card, which is good. It's a big night of boxing. It's a big night. It's a big night. Joe Cordina got the choir face look. Looks very young. But he's 31. He's a full-grown man. He's not a kid. I think Ogawa severely underestimated Joe's punching power and paid for it. The question is, will Rakhimov do something similar? Now, it's a lot of politics. Rakhimov has ended up with Joe's belt without beating Joe, and Joe's fighting to get his belt back in Wales. The card is underway right now. Joe, 15-0, 9 knockouts. It's understandable why Ogawa may not have had any respect for Joe's punching power. I mean, he scored 1 knockout in his last fight before he fought Ogawa, but that knockout was a very vicious knockout. I remember it. Rakhimov fought for the vacant title while Joe had to sit on the sidelines and wait for his injured hand to heal. His injury to his hand resulted in them stripping his IBF title at 130. I don't think Rakhimov can do anything to stop Joe outboxing him. And I'll be very disappointed, if Joe Cordina doesn't win tonight. And a lot of people are saying knockout. Spencer Fearon, big up Spence. He thinks knockout. You don't need to win by knockout, you know, Spence. He just needs to box, not ultra cautiously, because you often need a little more than that to bring belts back. You know, it's not easy winning world title belts. It really isn't. Rakhimov makes a lot of mistakes. He will walk in square. He's there to get hit. Doesn't move his head. He likes attrition though. Like Zelfa Barrett caught him with a beautiful right uppercut. And Rakhimov must have some fucking chin to withstand a punch like that. I think a lot of people thinking Rakhimov had a soft touch in beating Zelfa Barrett. No, Zelfa is a big super feather and he punches extremely hard. I was gutted for Zelfa. He floored Rakhimov, couldn't keep him down, and he was ground down in the 9th round. But the Cardiff International Arena, I'm picking Joe to get his belt back. Points or late stoppage. Either one is good. I can't remember seeing Joe in any distress from taking any big punches. Seems to have a solid enough chin. But then again, I can't verify if he's fought any big punches, apart from Ogawa, who's more attrition. Can hit hard though. He's defensively responsible though, Joe. He needs to be, because Rakhimov hits hard, 14 inside the distance and 17 wins. If Joe's hand is healed up, hopefully it is, it could be a big night over there in Wales tonight. Good to see Joe Calzaghe supporting Cordina, has been part of the promotion. Joe, I was a big fan of Joe. He was a great British fighter. Highly underrated, highly under-talked about, actually, today. Very good fighter. I hope Joe has done his homework, because the Rakhimov Zelfa Barrett fight was strange. Like, Zelfa hit this guy with some hard body shots and they clearly hurt him, but it was Rakhimov who came on stronger in the later rounds. That's not usually how that works. It's a winnable fight for Joe Cordina. He should get his belt back, but Rakhimov is very tough, very determined, so you can't count him out. But Joe Cordina is the pick. Points or late stoppage. Some good fights on the undercard. Very good fights. Jordan Thompson versus Luke Watkins. That's a decent fight at cruiser. Both men want to get into the domestic shape-up at cruiser where there's a lot of names, especially at boxer. There's a lot of names there. Zelfa, he's fighting tonight for the first time since losing to Rakhimov. Looking forward to seeing Zelf back. Gavin Gwynn versus Craig Woodruff, a rematch for the British lightweight title, 135. Both Welsh boys. The first fight was excellent. Craig Woodruff, the stylist, against Gavin Gwynn. The grit and determination. It was a good matchup. Will the rematch live up to billing? The first fight ended up a draw, and Gwynn retained his.
This is Tony Thompson, chilling with Boxing Beats and Rhymes. Hank Lundy chilling with Boxing Beats and Rhymes. This is that Mayor Hardcore Mentor on Boxing Beats and Rhymes YouTube channel. Tune in because this is the place to be, man, all the time.
I am ranked number 1. That means I'm the best.